Hi, my name is David Alberto Ayala Rodriguez. I'm from the group 307. This is a video of the PIA. Well, along the years, pollution has been affecting different things, and water is one of that. So the topic of the video is going to be about the problem of water pollution. Water pollution occurs when harmful substances, often chemicals or microorganisms, contaminate a stream, a river, a lake, an ocean, aquifer, or other body of water, degrading water quality and rendering it toxic to humans or for other types of living species. Some of the most commonly pollutants from that cause that pollution of water are domestic waste, industrial effluents, insecticides and pesticides, and sometimes detergents and fertilizers. Some of the water pollution that is caused by direct sources such as factories and waste management facilities. So, why is water important? Well, if the water gets polluted, there are a lot of consequences. One of that are disease. Humans drinking or consuming polluted water in any way has many disastrous effects on our health, like cholera, hepatitis, and various other diseases. And also it destroys the ecosystem. Like the plants need water to grow, to make the photosynthesis. So what happens if the water is polluted? Well, the plant's gonna die or gonna be toxic, or maybe the pH of the water is gonna be lower than 7. So the plants are not going to do the normal process of photosynthesis, are not gonna survive with that conditions. Have effects on the food chain, like for example the fishes who lives in rivers, lakes with a pH lower than 7, it's gonna die because the water is acid. So the species that eat fishes is gonna need to improve that absence of food. So what happened? There is gonna be a change in the food chain. Another is like, for example, the growth of algae. This algae from a layer on top of the pond or the lake, and bacteria feeds on this algae, and this decreases the amount of oxygen in the water body. So it obviously affects life. One example of water pollution here in Nuevo León is like el Río Santa Catarina, because a lot of houses that live near from that throw the trash over there. So what happens when a rain is coming? The trash get from other parts of the lake, and obviously it finishes in another part of another water body. So many aquatic life die, and it's very difficult to clean that type of pollution because we need a filter to say like that, and also we need to evaporate all the microorganisms to make it potable for the people. So thanks.
In this experiment, our hypothesis is basically based on the way that the water below is polluted by the contaminants we put on the box, such as fertilizants, sand, oil, vegetal colorants, and so on. What we expect to happen is that the water will be contaminated at the instant, but simulating the rain, this will help and be easier for it to be contaminated. This happens because it helps the indirect flow of the previous pollutants. In conclusion, we can take the idea that even if in the real life these pollutants don't contaminate, the rain, which is something natural, helps indirectly of making this possible.
First, we need to know what is indirect water pollution. Indirect water pollution, it's not caused by contaminants introduced directly to the water. Instead, is when contaminants end up there. It could be through underground systems or from the atmosphere through rainwater. An example of these kinds of contaminant is the fertilizers or even the pesticides that are on the soil by the water they get to lakes, rivers, or even oceans. These type of contaminants are very dangerous and very hard to control because there are multiple pollutants from multiple sources, and it is difficult to control all spaces at all times. For these experiments, we use several materials and simulation materials as the contaminants. For the materials, we needed water, a water can, and a fishbowl. For the contaminants, we use vegetable dye to simulate the fertilizers and pesticides. We also use real fertilizer, dirt to simulate erosion, oil to simulate motor oil, grass, and coffee
For
waste.
our experiment, we're gonna try to simulate the indirect pollution of water, which is the most common one. We are going to put this box with a hole below it, filled with contaminants, and then we're gonna simulate the rain that it's gonna fall. We have here some oil that it's gonna be another contaminant. And now we're gonna simulate the rain with this bottle of water. And now we can see that the water is completely polluted. Todo se cayó la malla.
Hi, I'm gonna present the results of the previous experiment, but before that, I want you to see that what we did has real effects in our daily life. Here in Nuevo León, in Santa Catarina River, today people who live near the river is really mad because they were usually to go with their children to have a nice time in family. They also clean their clothes, and animals could drink water without any trouble because water was very clean. But nowadays the river is so polluted by industrial pollutants that people use in their daily lives. Now, as we can see in the experiment that my classmate did, putting fertilizer on the ground, and after this we put on this combination water simulating rain that drags the mixture of ground and fertilizer to an aquatic environment like a lake or a river. We could see that water could be contaminated in an easier way because when pollutants touch the water, it changes its crystalline color to a very dark one. Talking about this case, people use fertilizers in their daily life for plants getting a better grow, but they don't take into account that they are polluting rivers like Santa Catarina, lakes, oceans, among other aquatic ecosystems that contain many living beings. This experiment is only a small representation of what is happening in our aquatic environments for the cause of humans. People not only use fertilizers, there are too many things that we use like pesticides or motor oils that we throw on the ground, and all these things cause water pollution. Because when it rains, the water drags all the pollutants that are on the ground until rivers or lakes. And for this today, there is a lot of pollution in waters around the world, and that's what we demonstrate in our experiment.
As we can see, water pollution has become a very serious problem, which throughout the years it has increased its importance by its environmental impact. With the test of our hypothesis made in the experiment, Our results proved that our hypothesis was correct, which made us think that water pollution can be done in a short period of time when an external force is applied. Like of example, when rain falls, there are already many pollutants near those freshwater sources, which are lakes, rivers, and ponds. When rain falls, it carries those pollutants inside the water source, which makes water pollution. And those external forces can be the rain, wind, a human, and even an animal. And these pollutants can be from large pieces of garbage to small indivisible chemicals. The world has 70% of water, and only 2.5 is fresh water. That's why we need to make a change. We need to start acting. We need to make a change in our actions. What we do today, what we do tomorrow, and what we do in the future. We need to use sustainability, which is defined as development of meeting the needs of the present without affecting the needs of the future generations. To achieve our goals of maintaining and improving an better ecological place, we need to use sustainability. It is important for us to start making small actions that will later lead us to bigger actions which will have positive results. We can start by using renewable sources, using LED lights, ecological bottles, ecological bags. Because being green is not only just buying eco, it's using sustainability. So we all need to start demonstrating our sustainability and make a commitment to ourselves and to others to have a sustainable lifestyle.
In any way, has many diseases effects on our health, like cholera, hepatitis, and various other diseases. And also it destroys the ecosystem. Like the plants need water to grow, to make the photosynthesis. So what happens if the water is polluted? Well, the plant's is gonna die, or gonna be toxic, or maybe the pH of the water is gonna be lower than 7. So the plants are not going to do the normal process of photosynthesis, are not gonna survive with that conditions. Have effects on the food chain, like for example the fishes who lives in rivers, lakes with a pH lower than 7. It's gonna die because the water is acid. So the species that eat fishes is gonna need to improve that absence of food. So what happened? There is gonna be a change in the food chain. Another is like, for example, the growth of algae. This algae from a layer on top of the pond or the lake, and bacteria feeds on this algae, and this decreases the amount of oxygen in the water body. So it obviously affects the